Oh, hello there. Am I on the internet? Oh boy, this is so exciting. Whoop. Cool. We'll see if anybody actually drops by. Otherwise, this is just me hanging out and streaming, mapping to the internet for very little reason. Oh boy. I changed my text. What does my text say? It's not accurate anymore, is it? Literally the same text as when I was doing my Valentine's stream. Forev? Wait. Cool, dude. So cool. Turn the music down just a little bit. Let's see if I can get a little focus going on today. Oh man, what am I doing? Oh. Oh, when did I floodfill this? Oops. One of these textures keep getting out of alignment. Okay. What am I doing with this? Some color variety. Do something like this, maybe? I don't know. Not sure if I like this. There we go. Why are these damn sectors joined together? Come on, man. I want that. Seems kind of weird. I don't like that. Just leave that back. Is there any reason these need to be separate sectors? I don't think so. All right. Oops. Need to change that to have no monsters spawning. Now let's do Control F9. And this looks decent. All right, this is good for now. I think I'm going to, I want to make the steps match. Maybe. I do feel like the structure needs to match a little bit. Let's do this. Let's start by... Where is it? God, I can't even see anything anymore. Oops. Delete all these, and then we'll come over here and copy this. I think it's just this, right? Yes. Wait, no. There we go. All right, copy that. Bring that over to... I'm confusing myself because this geometry is totally different. Is it like this? Should be like this. Oh no. There we go. Okay, there we go. Gaming Duck, SCP, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. keeping it nice and chill so far, and don't really know what I'm doing, so if you've come here to watch somebody just kind of flounder their way through the process of making a map, then you have arrived at the right place. So I don't really have a plan for what I'm doing right now. I'm just kind of working through some areas that I've been working on this gigantic map that I've been making for the past several months. I think... trying to figure out how I want this building to look. Okay, starting to give it some additional depth, I suppose. All right. What was the first map I ever made? It's a map, I actually posted it on Doomworld. It's called Malleable Intent. And there's a video about it on my Mapping Diaries playlist. Just basically a map I made to kind of learn the editor and just figure out what I was doing with Doom, so it wasn't anything too fancy. Yeah, that was my first map, that one you watched. Let's see. I probably won't be like super talkative until I get a little more settled in. I'm just kind of getting going, so it always takes me a little bit to warm up whenever I stream, so if I'm being quiet now, just give it a little bit of time and I'll probably get a little chattier as it goes on. All right, I think I'm liking the way this is starting to come together, but this whole geometry is just so almost needlessly complicated. So that building over there has red lights. I think I want to make this one blue lights for some reason, just to give it some contrast. And then maybe change this from blue marble to something else. What is my process? I mean, it's kind of, it can be different depending on the map that I'm making, but generally, I usually start with like an idea of some kind, just like some sort of premise, or, you know, like, oh, I want to make a cave map, you know, like I'll kind of start with an idea like that. And then try to figure out like how big I want it to be. Or I'll like imagine some kind of like actual vista in my mind of like, oh, like imagine, I don't know, like a castle off in the distance, and that'll be something that I like kind of orient the map around. Is like, oh, maybe you start a map where you see like a giant castle, and like the map will be getting to that castle, or the castle will be like the major set piece in the map or something like that. And then I usually just kind of start going from there. A lot of times I'll spend a little bit of time detailing a starting area just to get a sense for like how I want the details in the map to look. And then a lot of times what I end up doing is I just kind of bounce around between different types of activities. So sometimes I'm like just working on geometry and monster placement, and other times I'll get a little bored with that and like just go over to detailing or something like that. So I wouldn't say I have like one strict flow that I adhere to at all times across every project that I make. All right. Trying to decide what I want to do for this. There's two grays. There's a dark gray and there's a light gray. Maybe I'll make this the light gray. And a lot of times when I make maps, I also start with an idea and then I realize that I'm not sure how I want to make it work, and I just kind of start over with stuff. So how long did it take me to make Malleable Intent? I would say it took me legitimately about a month. I think I probably put about 80 to 100 hours into it. And bearing in mind that a lot of that was like making mistakes and messing up and like deleting things and just starting over with certain areas, or like making it basically like making an entire area, realizing that I like had no idea how to make it work, or I didn't like the idea, and then getting rid of it for something like to start over with an idea. So I made a lot of mistakes in making that map. I could probably make it way quicker these days now because I actually know how to use the tools and stuff, but back then that's about how long it took. I can definitely map a lot faster than I used to be able to, but all right. I've got this. I'm gonna see if I can copy and paste this. Where do I, how do I line this up? There we go. Is that gonna look right? Nice. Actually, I don't want to copy and paste that yet. I think I want to invert these colors for some reason. Make this blue on the inside and red on the outside. Yes, I have made several maps using only vanilla textures. My Malleable Intent was one. It's all Doom 2 textures. I made a map for D30, which is a Pineapple Under the Sea project. That was Ultimate Doom, so I only used Ultimate Doom textures. I've actually have a work in progress WOD that's a bunch of vanilla maps. I say vanilla, technically limit removing, but using vanilla assets and music that I made. Yeah, so I made several maps using it. It's fun. It's good to I think it's a good exercise to just make maps with only vanilla assets, because it gives you it kind of, if you're the kind of person who has like, ooh, a giant texture pack, like you see OTEX for the first time and it's got like, 4,000 textures in it, you're just like, whoa, that's so much, I don't know what to do. It can kind of limit your scope of thinking so that you don't get overwhelmed by how many choices you have, or being able to settle on a specific theme or idea. But I've also heard people say the exact opposite, that like it's too restricting and it makes it hard for them to choose what to do. So so I say just if you like using vanilla textures, that's great. And if you want something a little more exciting for you personally than vanilla textures, that you should just, it's not a bad idea to give it a try, but if you feel like it's a waste of your time, then just, there's no point in sticking to it only. But, and for my money, I like the challenge of trying to make the stock textures that everybody's seen for 30 years look interesting. Wait a minute, is this double? This is a double stairs. Okay, so I can split this in half. Oops. Most texture packs just don't fit with the Doom aesthetic. Yeah, I think I can agree with that to some extent. Not all the time, but because ultimately I think that at this point Doom's aesthetic has just had so many different variations because of the history of texture packs that it's kind of like, what even is the Doom aesthetic anymore? But over the last 30 years of Doom mapping. But at the same time, yeah. The other thing too is that if you like, so clearly, like, these textures kind of don't look like Doom textures, but they also do because it's like, you know, they use the same sort of like marble pattern. And a lot of textures, especially like in this texture set, which is 32 and 24, which is a, I think it's a evolution of the CC4, recombining patches of old existing Doom textures. Like, you know, this, well, this is an example of that, but this is an example of like, you know, these are textures that are just permutations of Startan. So even though they're not from vanilla Doom, they look like they fit in with the Doom aesthetic because they basically are the same texture, just recolored. Or these like door variations, you know, these aren't from vanilla Doom, but they're from, you know, the base textures from Doom, so they fit in pretty well in my opinion. And at least with this texture set, like, and what I appreciate about this texture set, there's just a lot of things that just are, it's like vanilla seeming or stock seeming textures, but just a little bit easier to use. Like, you know, just this one 32 wide support column. You don't have to worry about like manual fine tuning it. Like, you know, the support 3 is kind of a little bit of a pain in the butt to line up properly, or like these are these slanted mid texture variations of support, so you can actually have like angled things overhead. Texture sets that fit well with the stock textures. I'm trying to think of any specific ones off the top of my head. I'd say like a good half of the CC4 textures or the 32 and 24 textures mesh decently well. They definitely have some textures that, like, I think if you use obvious CC4 textures, it kind of gives the map its own like sort of vibe. Like it feels like it like you can tell it comes from CC4, I guess is a way to say it. Trying to think of any off the top of my head, but I probably don't have the most encyclopedic knowledge of all the different texture sets out there. That would be something I'd recommend, just like hopping in someone like Jimmy's Discord and asking that question, or Clippy's Discord. There's a lot of people there that have a little bit more that ready recall of Doom knowledge. Sometimes I just kind of go with the flow, man. I hate this song. I need to take this song out of my library. Oh yeah, this one's good. This is Corpse song that they made for Doom 2 and City Only's one of the secret maps in that. It's such a good song. Yeah, I think I'll probably end up making more mapping videos at some point. I wouldn't really consider myself much of a content creator. You know, I don't really go out of my way to plan content to make most of the time, so generally when I make a video like that, it's just like off the cuff, like I kind of, in the spur of the moment, just choose to make a video like that. So I will say it's very likely to occur, but in terms of like when I would plan to make a video like that, I don't necessarily think that I could say. Because the truth is, I just don't know when I'll feel like making a video like that. Okay, now I'm in a little bit of a pickle because this doesn't line up with the grid to make this teleport texture, but I don't really want to move this larger structure that it's in, so I need to figure something out for that. What am I doing? Do I think I could play some of your maps at some point? Maybe. I have been in I haven't really been taking requests for quite some time. I got to a point where I was just like getting them a lot, and I just didn't really have time. But I wouldn't necessarily be totally opposed to it. But I honestly just don't spend that much time making Doom videos that much these days, so... if you want to hit me up on Doom World, we could chat about that maybe. What am I going to do for this teleporter? How do you make monsters teleport in? So if you're just mapping in like vanilla or boom, or limit removing, it's always pretty much the same thing. But basically what you end up doing is you'll you'll set up a teleport destination sector. You'll give the sector a tag. You'll put a teleport destination thing in that sector. And then what you do is you make what's called monster closets. So you basically make these little hallways or rooms that exist outside the bounds of the map that the monsters reside in. And like if you want the ambush to be like when the player enters a room, a bunch of monsters teleport in, and a fight starts, or maybe if it's that you enter a room, that like you got to complete some kind of fight to get the key, and so to start the fight you have to like hit a switch in the room or something like that. So you'll have this monster closet set up that are like different hallways with the monsters packed in them outside of the bounds of the map, and then like when the player triggers the line def or hits the switch or whatever, it opens a door inside of the monster closet. And then you basically set up teleporting lines that the monsters cross over. So like the cacodemons will cross over this line and teleport into the part of the map where they ambush. And then really what you do is you need to make sure that the monsters are set to not have the ambush flag, so they wake up when a gunshot sound is heard. And then you need to either join the monster closet sector directly with a sector somewhere in the map that like the player's guaranteed to fire their weapon, or sometimes what I like to do is just put a little like a dummy sector attached to the monster closet itself, and this sector is joined to the outside to the area of the map, and then basically the sound propagates into the monster closet and wakes the monsters up, so they're like currently trapped in the monster closet wandering back and forth, and then when the player goes into the arena and trips the line def or hits the switch, the door opens and the monsters will begin to teleport out of the monster closet. So that's a quick overview of how it's done, and there's different techniques for ways that you can control. So basically like how you structure the monster closet and how many teleport line defs you put in it and other things like that can have an impact on how quickly the monsters can exit the teleport closet. So if you want like all the monsters to flood out very quickly, you can set up like parallel teleports, so it's like instead of just all teleporting to one place, there may be like 3 or 4 destinations within an arena that the monsters all teleport to, so that more of them come out at once. And there's also other things that you need to build in, like redundancy, so in case the teleport destination is blocked when the monster tries to teleport, they have a way of still teleporting into the arena once the blockage clears, like if monsters are just all piling up somewhere. So there's some good posts about it, I know, on Doom World, and I think there might be some videos on the right way to do it elsewhere on YouTube. Might be like a Chubbs Doomer thing. I wouldn't be surprised if Chubbs Doomer has a video on it, or maybe even Doom Kid, I'm not totally sure. Because there's different techniques, like I said, for it. Like, you can do a very basic monster closet, but then there's actually a decent amount of potential to to have control over the monster closet and how it affects the monsters being able to get into the arena. So, okay, what am I going to do about this teleport? I'm just feeling like I don't know how I want to fix it right now. I think I'm just going to leave it alone for now and not get stuck on this. So, do I like the way this structure looks? Like, is this done mostly? Not completely. I need to get some detailing in here. Don't know anything about using PK3s. I don't really map in the UDMF format that often. Or I would say, I guess in a format specifically for GZ Doom. Probably a good question to ask in David N server. He's the guy who runs the Ramp project. And there's a lot of people in that realm that all are a little more interested in GZ Doom type of mapping than I tend to be. Oop. Do I like the way this is looking? Wait, that's not... Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's even. Good, good. Do I know how to add texture WAD files to a map WAD file? Yes. That's... Doomkit has a good video on how to do that. It's using Slade. It's pretty quick. If you... I wouldn't be able to dig up the link, but it should be pretty easy to find the video if you look on his channel, or if you look... search for it. Let's do... Yeah, I like that. And then I want to put a barrier here. Doesn't he only add single texture PNGs and not a WAD containing the textures? I'm not totally sure. I know like, because he has that video on like how to add new skies and stuff that maybe you're referring to. I can tell you that I did not figure it out like by myself, so I'm pretty sure I watched one of his videos or something like that to figure out how to do it. I want this to be the marble texture or something else. What would be interesting to put here? Anything? Leave this alone for now. All right. See how this looks in the game. Yeah, I think that's good. So when I figure out what to do with this teleporter, I need to block this. How difficult should UV maps be? Honestly, that is a highly philosophical question with a highly philosophical answer. There's no agreed upon standard for how difficult ultraviolence should be. My recommendation would be make it as hard as you think that ultraviolence should be. And I know that's a bit of an open-ended answer, but that's legitimately what I would suggest because you know, I mean, you're going to be limited by your own skill when it comes to like play testing the map and stuff like that. So that kind of puts a restriction on it already. But I tend to make maps that are maybe like slightly harder than I think that I can play. A lot of people think that... A lot of people have been trying to make Hurt Me Plenty kind of like the new default skill. And ultraviolence really is reserved for like the absolute hardest type of gameplay. And some people want ultraviolence to be accessible. Oops. So it just really depends on your own preferences. All right. Nice to see you, bud. How's it going, Clipster? What's going on, Clippy the Clippington? It's a holiday here in the US, so I figured I'd do some lazy streaming. I just don't feel like doing anything today, so I'll work on Bitter Dream a little bit. And I have to like actually sit here and work on it uninterrupted for a while. So it's helping me be productive, is what I'm hoping. Shit. Wait a minute, this should be the block texture. Yeah, this looks better. I hope to check it out someday, Clippy. Yeah, someday, man. I have no idea when I'm going to finish this damn thing. So I started this map. I might have started this map in late January or early February. I can't remember exactly. I've been working on it for too damn long. See, this is at 576 texture offset. Oop. Copy, and then 576. Not 270. What am I doing? 576. Yeah, I'll be interested to see if ramp is going to be a thing this year. I don't know like when that typically gets talked about. Oh, I need to lower unpeg this as well. I don't remember last year like when we started talking about ramp. And I don't know if I'm going to have time to do it or not. I have multiple mapping obligations, like actual things that I have to make maps specifically for. So I really don't know when I will be able to get around to it. I'm already like not working on things that I really want to work on like this that often, so my maps are getting too big and grandiose. I mean, some of them are. This map definitely on purpose. I'm making no, I won't mince my words. Yeah, I'm definitely making this map big and grandiose, but on purpose and knowingly. It's like, yes, I get that this is a bit magnum opusy. That's the point. This is the scope of this map in particular. But I mean, I've made a bunch of smaller maps. Like my map for Waffle House was, it had less than 100 monsters in it actually. So, you know, I'm slowly learning to kind of dial in my scope a little bit. It's as much as that is against my second nature. Fuck, why do I have all these lines now? I don't even know. I've also been working on this map for so long, I just don't know why like I made certain things the way that I did anymore. Why did I make the line this way? And I'm working on another mapping, or I have a map to make for another project that will be a small monster count as well. So I am trying to slowly work myself into a capacity of being able to make shorter maps. Never worked on a single map for more than a few weeks. Yeah. Yeah, making multiple maps at once. I have several mapping projects that are kind of like in progress in various degrees. But generally speaking, I don't like having multiple things at once either, because it allows me to like ignore working on things. It's like on one hand, I could see it's like if my objective is to just like maintain mapping productivity in some capacity, then having multiple projects is good. But if the objective is to actually complete maps, then in my opinion, it's bad. So it just depends on like what the objective is, I suppose. I'm literally just making a barrier here just to break this up. Let's see, support. Let's get a good support here. Actually, I like this one. Focus, Danielson. There. Arbitrary, I don't know what this is for, but it achieves a visual look of some kind. Nice. This area might be actually getting close to done. I started working on this area like 2 months ago, easily. But again, it's not like I've been working on this map for 2 months straight. It is actually just 2 months of, you know, varying degrees of having time for this. Okay, so one thing I'm trying to figure out is I have this sky floor pattern all over here. Do I want to keep that relegated to just this area? Or do I want to color the rest of the... I think I want to just keep it the way that it is. Just popping in between tasks. Yeah, I mean, like I said, if your objective is to like, I want to map every day in whatever capacity that is, then I think it's good. I think it's better than not to have multiple projects to choose from, because sometimes you're just like you don't have any good ideas for something, and that's like a very real problem. But if your objective is to like finish one particular thing as fast as possible, then it's less than ideal to have too many things to choose from. I believe that's called pipelining your work. I'm not totally sure. Okay. Do I like... Yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's fine. Yeah, I like this for the stairs. Just kind of gives it a little bit of variety. Over here. And I think I want this entire structure to have some kind of different look to it. So maybe we'll do the big blocks. Okay. Here's what I'll do. So yeah, you teleport into this area here, and now you're stuck in this little arena. I have it set so the monsters don't spawn when I get into the map. This is kind of janked and needs to be fixed. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this yet. Check my sight lines. Is that man with gun? Nice line def count. Oh yeah, I haven't even looked at what the line def count on this map is right now. I will tell you that the map is so big I had to change node builders because it was starting to misbehave. So let's see. Just kind of get a sense for if I like the way these visuals look so far. I feel like the marble's a little monotonous, but I don't mind that like one area is kind of like the blue marble area either. So you can see that off in the distance. I think I like the way this looks. I feel like I'm going to end up putting some more detail in here in some capacity, but I'm just not sure yet what it is that I want. Just binge many of my videos. Oh, thank you so much. Really like the tangents you take and the way you talked about creativity and why we do things even if we are not the best / perfect. Yeah, I guess, you know, it's funny, if I spent as much time just doing work as I did pontificating on the nature of doing work, I'd probably have finished Bitter Dream like 6 months ago. But yeah, I guess I do spend a lot of time just thinking about, you know, what our relationship to our creativity is, and, you know, I guess like hijacking your own mind to maximize productivity and stuff like that. But I definitely don't purport to have all the answers. If you are under the mistake that I know what I'm doing, let me disabuse you of that notion. I'm always just kind of like figuring things out. So yeah, you hit this switch, and then this will allow progression to the next area. I do think this is starting to actually take the shape that I like. So my objectives of this map, so this map, I haven't really shown off much of this map, and I probably will not, but it's basically a large this is kind of a large open area, and it's, I mean, it seems like there's more map than there actually is, but basically you go to like several different smaller sub arenas, and at various points there's, I'll just show off a quick thing that I really wanted to save for when I release the map, but it'll be fine. So there's these kind of like portals that take you into other dimensions. So that's kind of what you're doing, is you're like navigating through this large like superstructure to get to these different end points that take you into other dimensions. And so you go through like the space between worlds and you pop out in like a new area. This is like the flesh world or whatever that's going to be. And then, so you can see very much this is like just blocked out, and I have not really done anything in this. I basically just set aside the space for it, and that was about it. But you'll come in here and you'll get a key and you'll do a little arena fight. And then when it's time to leave, this is going to be another one of those portals. You go back through the subspace and pop out. And then this is kind of like an area you return to a few times that each like sub area dumps you out to. Just give you another sense of being able to see the rest of the map. And then you'll kind of be deposited here back in the central area of the map. So my objectives are, I've got I basically got every area of the map blocked out. But I still have to design gameplay for several areas, and I also have to then, of course, go through and detail everything. And then once I've gotten all the smaller areas designed and detailed and all the gameplay functional, then I think one of my final orders of business is going to be all this stuff out in the outside area that you see that is just like long lines right now. This will get the final stage of like detailing and to make everything look the way that it's intended to look at the end. Making the lights flicker. So you need to make sure that whatever sector has the flicker flag, that at least one sector next to it that it touches is darker. If all the sectors surrounding the flickering sector are the same brightness, then it won't flicker. So basically the way that any of the light changing effects work, like the glow and the flicker and the blinking, they will use whatever sector is adjacent to that one. Whatever the darkest sector is adjacent to the blinking sector, the blinking will inherit that darkness, and then its native light level will be whatever the light level is that you set the sector to in the editor. Yeah, so I have all these little areas here, and I've gotten like this doesn't have any gameplay, although like most of the detailing is done. So it's why it's hard for me to talk specifically about my process, because in theory, a lot of my process involves like you shouldn't detail as much as like this, because you go to start designing the gameplay and maybe you hit like a brick wall with the gameplay where you realize you want to change something, and then that makes it a lot harder to do because you've done all this detailing. But in my workflow, I often delve into detailing because I just really like making areas look cool, and sometimes it's hard for me to like envision the different themes if I don't spend a little bit of time detailing stuff. So should this be like a final map? Yeah, this is going to be, so this is map 8. There's going to be map 9. Map 9 is going to be kind of like a boss map-ish. So this one is like the map 29 of Doom 2, basically. It's the big like grand opus map, and then the final map is going to be like probably some kind of multi-stage arena fight in a cool looking arena, but it's going to be very reduced in scope compared to this. But just to give you an idea, this is the editor zoomed all the way out, and this is how much of the editor the map takes up, because of just how much, there's like, you're not going to go to all this different space, but it's just here to give the map a very large sense of space. So I'm at, okay, so you said 14,000 line defs. I'm actually at 24,000. So I've exhausted, what is the cap is like 65,000? So I'm a little over a third way towards the maximum number of line defs I can have. I think I'll come in well under the limit. This is going to drive me crazy because I don't know what to do about it. I think I might just, you know what? I'm going to just do a little cheat code. Here's a little cheating shortcut that I have. I'm going to... I'm going to give this a skybox. Let's see. What am I doing? Skybox. So this is tag 38. Let me just go ahead to... Where are all my control sectors? Oh, wait. That's right. I have not gone through and done any... I've only added, like, a few sector tags for my my sky transfers. So I've got a lot of, like, weird broken sky transfers right now. So, okay, now I'm going to do is... This is actually going to be blocked off with a skull key. So what this area actually is, this teleport area is... You're going to go to this teleport and come into this little cool thing over here. And all it is just going to be like a cache. So if you have one of the... if you have one of the skull keys... and you come back through this area, because this is a non-linear map, you get the red skull key in this area, but maybe if you have the blue skull key or the yellow skull key, you can come through here and get some extra supplies. Which skull key do I want it to be? I think blue. I can just always change this later. Definitely my flaw with mapping. I make cool spaces and then after feeling everything's done, I eventually realize the encounter is no fun. Yeah, I highly recommend iterative playtesting. I think it's a good idea to just stop periodically and just run around, do a little bit of the combat. You know, even if you just give yourself full ammo and God mode, you know, just run around and get a sense for what the encounter's feeling like as you're kind of in the process of building it. So... because I've been there before too, where you're like, oh man, this looks so cool, and then you start actually like playtesting the encounter, and you're like, oh, this is kind of shit. And that can be curtailed to some degree by just making sure that you incorporate playtesting a little bit more earlier into your process and semi-regularly throughout it. There we go. So this will be a voodoo doll closet, because I need to make these bars lower by having a key. So this is going to need to be set up for a voodoo doll. Let's do this. Oh, these are not lined up. Let's do that. See, this is 1000. We'll make this 1017. So what I'm doing is I have these bars that block. I think what I'm going to do is just do I want to have a switch activate these? I don't think I do. I think I just want it to be that the... Ooh, you know what's a good idea? Here's an idea. Let me see if I can make this work. What am I doing? Okay, let me just go back. Sorry, let's redo everything that I just did. Join all these together, and then there we go. Here's what I'll do. So I want to make this obvious that hitting a switch, that activating it will allow you to go into it. So I'm going to give it a switch texture. So let's see. Raise this up. Now it's a barrier. Let's put a blue skull on the side of it. It's indoors. Yep. And then we'll give this a switch texture. So, yeah, what I'm doing is I'm setting this up, and then this is going to open a voodoo doll closet that allows this to lower, since that you can't make floors lower with a key with a line def action. I usually just go to my gut feel, and I believe there will never be a fine answer to this question because everyone does their approach to designing levels. Yeah, for sure. You know, and I think that, like, it's totally fine to try to take cues from how other people do things. You know, I think it's a perfectly natural way to try to learn, and I highly encourage it, in fact. And, like, when people ask me, like, how do you do certain things in Sakaiju, you know, beyond, like, how to use the software, my advice is, like, take a song that you really like, and just open that song up in Sakaiju and, like, figure out how the author made it. But also, like, if you just try to completely imitate your style based on someone else, like, you're going to probably have a bad time. I mean, because everybody's kind of got their own process, and at some point you should start to feel confident enough to do your own thing. But that being said, I'm always still... I consider myself a student of the craft at all times, so I'm never not going to, you know, try to get a sense for what it is that my contemporaries are doing. Why is this 256? Why is this so bright? Make this 176. See how I'm just kind of like bouncing between things. Like I was working on this door, and now I'm like changing shadow light or shading levels for whatever stupid reason. 160. There we go. Getting a bit better, though. I made simple dev textures, so I don't need to worry about the texturing until I'm happy with the gameplay. Oh, yeah. Having actual good, like, placeholder textures. That's probably not a bad idea in general. I definitely just rely on, like, ugly flood filling. Like, you know, with all this stuff out here. Like, basically, this all I did was just, like, let me just put some placeholders here. I'll come back and detail these at some point, all this stuff over here. But sometimes it's like hard because you look at it and you just like, oh, I want this to be detailed so bad. And it's easy to get kind of distracted by like just feeling like you want to go through and figure something out for it. And then it's like, well, that's not going to be productive to work on that right now. So, okay, I guess I'll set up this voodoo doll closet now. Where do I even want to put this? I have so much stuff like... I have so many different areas outside of the main map. This is like the starting area, and this is one of the key diversions. This is another one of the key diversions. That's a key diversion. Then I have several of these like subspace tunnels that lead you between the different areas. Monster closets, control sectors, voodoo doll sectors. There's so much. So, okay. But I guess I like to have all my voodoo doll closets near the start since... easiest thing to do is take the player start and swap them out. I found my channel a week ago. Oh, well, thanks. I'm glad to hear that it's helpful. Yeah, I don't really have a particular objective when I go out to make things. I just sort of... if I just have an inclination of like, you know what, I'll just make a video on something. At some point I had aspirations of like making the channel like its own kind of thing, but I don't know. It takes so much time. It's like, would I rather spend my time making Doom and playing Doom, or would I rather spend my time like making videos about Doom? All right. So I'm making this voodoo doll closet, and I'm like I'm very generous with my line defs just to make sure that my voodoo dolls closets have lots of redundancy. So we're gonna do generalized action, floor, walk over once, fast, down, target, lowest adjacent floor. Oops, no changes. And what was that? I need to make this 1016 or 1017. Let me go back here and check what I had this one. Okay, I did not change this sector, so I need to give this a new tag. So I need to make that 1017. So basically I have my numbering scheme. I don't know if this is actually necessary, but Bitter Dream has relied a lot on different sky transfers. So what I do is I basically just give every sky its own range. From like 1,000 to 2,000 is the blue sky. From 2,000 to 3,000 is another sky. From 3,000 to 4,000 is another sky, etc., etc. And that way I can just keep all the numbers within that one number range. So like all the different, because eventually I'm going to need to have a sky transfer for every number that's under that, since so much of the map takes place underneath the sky. So this is 1017. That just makes it easier than just like making it randomly like 56, and then I need to remember like, oh yeah, 56 needs to have a sky transfer. And Moomy has a really interesting technique where he just makes like a 100-sided circle at the end of the map and just sky transfers to every single sector tag. But I want something that I have a little more control over. So, okay, these are all right, 1017. So the last thing I need to do is make this, what was that sector tag? I just was looking at it. 39. Come back over here. And this will be tag 39. Switch once. Wait a minute. Locked door. There we go. Trigger is switch once. Turbo door. Open only. Blue skull key. There we go. I like picking a narrow texture theme early on since I feel the need to do all the texturing as I build the level pretty much. Yeah, I've tried to slowly encourage myself to narrow the scope of texture selection in general while I'm making a map. So like this map, I mean, this has textures all over the place because it's part of the theme is like you're going to all these different dimensions to find all the keys. So there's like, a flesh world and there's, other stuff. But in terms of the main hub area, it's like very heavily reliant on the different marble textures. So it has made it a lot easier that I don't have to sit there and like decide what the texturing is going to look like in every area. But I'm also trying to adhere to this challenge of like making sure that each area still has like kind of different distinct permutations of the main theme. So that's a bit, it keeps the challenge present, I suppose, to some degree. But I don't think I'll ever be able to just completely coach myself out of the process of sometimes just, getting lost in the details while I'm supposed to be making part of the map. Okay, so come over here. You need the blue skull key. Perfect. This is a little cheater teleporter since I didn't get the texture to line up properly. This will be I don't know what sky transfer I'll make this. I'll make it something. You come over here. And yeah, I think I'm just going to put some supplies in here. Maybe it'll trigger an optional fight. I don't know. And then you'll get your supplies and you'll kind of go back. So just a neat way to get some extra stuff. Awesome. Well, I'm actually making some good progress. Was there something I noticed? There was a few things I noticed, right? So I think oh yeah, I grabbed this candle texture. I remember putting this here like yesterday, and then I got distracted and moved on, which is a common theme whenever I'm doing almost anything. Getting distracted. Wait a minute. These aren't equivalent. Okay, no, I see what's going on here. I thought these were not like the same distance because these are supposed to be symmetrical, but this has a slightly different look to it. I must have just not combined some of these sectors together when I needed to. Yeah, there's no reason for these sectors to be separate. So I can join this and this with no consequence. Yeah, there we go. Man with gun don't post videos like 2 years and don't feel like doing so. Yeah, I kind of go through, I won't say it's a love-hate relationship, but it's definitely like periods of waning motivation where I'm just like, I just really have no desire to do anything related to Doom videos these days. So let's go ahead and let's put a plasma gun here. Player should have the plasma gun at this point, but since this is a non-linear map, I'm going to put some redundancies just in case. Plus, it'll give me an excuse to put more cells than not. So we'll put... What are these? 20 each? So that's only 80 cells. How do I want to arrange these? Does anybody else spend, like, more time than you'd like to admit figuring out, like, how you want to arrange pickups in certain areas? Whoops! I just hit the G key by accident. Do the sky transfers work in Boom? Yes. I believe they should work in MBF as well. I can't remember the chronology. I think what Boom came first and then MBF. But yes, Boom supports sky transfers. This is Boom. This is CL9. I thought about converting it to MBF 21 before I released the project, and I might, maybe, but I honestly just haven't felt the need to. I guess that looks all right. I'll leave that alone for now. And then we'll do... What else would be good to get? Chain gun, maybe? My chain gun in Bitter Dream is beefed up, so it's not just like a slap in the face to get a chain gun. It's actually closer to the Valiant chain gun. Box of ammo. That's 400 bullets. I don't know that the player would have the backpack at this point. One of the key paths gives you the backpack, but I don't think I'm going to put it in this secret. Or, I mean, in this. Let's put a green armor. Could be good. Sky transfer is very easy. It works. I think it works the same in no, I can tell you definitively it works the same in MBF as it does in UDMF and in Boom format. It just the line def tag is just slightly different, I think. So, but basically what you do is you create a control sector or dummy sector, and then you make the upper texture on one of the walls. Or not one of the walls. To be clear, it's not just randomly pick a wall. It's whatever wall you give the line def action to. So like this wall right here has the line def action 271. Transfer sky texture to tagged sectors. You need to make sure the upper texture has the sky you want. And then whatever texture or whatever tag you give the line def, it'll transfer that sky box to whatever whatever sector has that same tag. So if you're just doing one, a common thing to do is to just give tag 0 a sky transfer, and that's a very easy way to achieve it. Like I said, in my case, because I mean you can see I have several different distinct sky transfers because of the theme of the map. I'm using more than just 0, and then Moomy has this technique where, you know, most maps, let's say in a given map, you're probably not going to have more than like if it's a really complicated map, you might have like 80 distinct, you know, sector numbers and line def numbers. So what you can do is you can just come down here and make a 100-sided circle, right, like that. And then you can do sequential numbering. So select all the lines and then tag it as greater than equal to 0, let's say. And then it'll count up in sequence. So 0's here somewhere, and you can see it's going up, 16, you know, all the way around. And then you just give every line in here the 271 transfer, and that'll make sure that every sector in your map has a sky transfer successfully. So you can just reserve that until at the end of the map if you want, and it just makes it nice and easy to do it all at once. So, okay. I feel like I kind of need to switch areas for a while. This is one thing that I've been doing, like, as I'm working on this project, is just, like, bouncing between different areas. So another area that I was working on, this will be a nice little change here, is this kind of, like, maybe sundery type of area with, like, lots of just blocky. It's like the Gothic version of one of the earlier areas, I suppose. It's been a while since I've, like, ran around this map. You can see so much of this map still has, like, just blocking out and random geometry that I haven't detailed at all. Maybe I'll detail this starting area. This starting area has been one of the least returned to in terms of me working on it since I've actually, like, worked on the map. Maybe I'll do that. This map is going to be such a pain in the ass to balance when it's all said and done. Like, balancing all the items and the monsters and how difficult it is. That's why I usually don't make that many, like, super non-linear maps. Because, like, even from this beginning area, like, this is a beginning area, like, you have to go here. And then once you hit this switch to get out of the starting area, you basically can go left or you can go right. And the map has the ability to, you can get any key in any order so far. And you can get the different weapons in different orders. So it's going to make it a little tricky to balance everything, but I'm not really sure how I'm going to face that challenge yet. I was kind of worried this was going to look a little too visually cluttered, but I think it's basically, like, right on the cusp where it's still acceptable, so I need to get that top sector up there glowing. This one, oops. This one needs to be glowing. Seems like it should be okay. I feel like I'm going to change that to something else. I don't know what that's going to be, but that'll probably be something different. Yeah. Little resource depot. Oh, how did I do that? Oh, I guess I got distracted explaining how the sky transfers worked. All right, let's go back to the starting area. So I haven't given this any love in a while. Actually, what time is it? All right, let's do this for a little bit longer. Probably will not spend a whole lot more time here. Actually, I think this might be a good stopping point. I didn't intend to stream for too long today, and honestly, I'm got a few things I need to get done before this evening, so this is good. This is like a good uninterrupted, like, forcing me to sit down and work on this without getting too distracted for, like, over an hour kind of endeavor. I don't know. I may do this again soon. I don't know. I don't really love streaming all that often because I kind of have to, like, close myself up in my room and just, like, sit in front of my computer, like, nonstop for long periods of time, which I don't. I'm a very fidgety person most of the time, so I don't actually like doing that much. So I don't know if I'll do this again soon or not, but I would like to in some capacity. But for now, I'm going to probably just call this a stream. And thank everybody for tuning in who is still here. And hopefully you learned something or just enjoyed chilling. And, you know, if anybody has any ideas for like videos that you would be interested in seeing somebody make for mapping. I'm always willing to kind of entertain some ideas. I do have like a little notebook with some ideas jotted down in it, but I just haven't really felt compelled to work on anything recently. So at some point there'll be more like mapping videos that I make too. But if anybody ever has any ideas or things that they like want to know about, like, okay, if we're talking about tutorials, like how do you make a door, just go look at Chubb's Doomer. But if anybody has any ideas for, I don't know, how do you overcome mapping block? You know, I can make a video on that. Stuff like that. So anyways, thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and cut the stream now. And I wish you well in your future endeavors. And yes, goodbye now.